The message came in the middle of an ordinary afternoon. I was sitting at my desk answering emails that didn't matter when my phone vibrated against the wood. Her name appeared on the screen. For a moment, I assumed it was another routine message, something about groceries. Maybe a reminder to call someone. Our conversations had become that simple over the last year. Logistics, schedules, polite fragments of a marriage that no longer felt like one. I opened the message. "I'm in Vegas for a week." No explanation followed it. No context. Just the sentence sitting there like a note left on a kitchen counter. I read it twice. Vegas, for a week. The strange thing wasn't the message. It was how calm I felt reading it. There was no spike of anger, no panic. Just a quiet clarity that settled in my chest like something finally confirmed. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. For a long time, I had suspected that my marriage had turned into something else, something quieter, more distant, like two people slowly drifting out of the same room without acknowledging it. The signs had never been dramatic. She started traveling more. Work trips that lasted longer than they used to. Nights when she came home distracted, carrying the smell of unfamiliar hotels and unfamiliar conversations. I never confronted her, not because I didn't notice, because I wasn't sure it would change anything. When I finally typed my reply, it was short. "Have fun with him. The divorce papers are ready." I stared at the message before pressing send. Then I did. The phone went silent again. No typing bubbles, no immediate response. Just the faint hum of the air conditioner in the room and the soft realization that something irreversible had just been said. But the truth was, the decision hadn't started that afternoon. It had started months earlier. There was a moment I kept returning to in my mind. A quiet dinner at home last winter. We were sitting across from each other at the table, eating in near silence. She was scrolling through her phone while I talked about something forgettable, work probably. Halfway through my sentence, I realized she hadn't heard a word. She looked up suddenly and said, "Sorry, what did you say?" But the apology felt automatic, like someone repeating a line they had used too many times. I remember thinking then that something had already ended between us. We just hadn't acknowledged it yet. After that night, I stopped trying to fix things. Instead, I started paying attention. Patterns became clearer when I stopped ignoring them. The sudden trips, the guarded phone calls, the way she spoke about certain friends whose names never appeared twice. None of it was dramatic enough to start a fight. But together, it formed a quiet understanding. 3 weeks before the Vegas message, I sat across from a lawyer in a small office downtown. There was nothing theatrical about it. No anger, no speeches about betrayal. Just paperwork. The lawyer asked simple questions. How long had we been married? Did we own property together? Were there shared accounts that needed to be divided? I answered calmly. At one point, he asked, "Are you sure you want to proceed?" I thought about it for a moment before nodding. Yes, not because I was certain about the future, but because I was certain about the present. The documents were prepared quickly. They sat in a folder in my desk drawer for days, waiting for a moment that would make the decision feel real. Apparently, that moment was a text message from Las Vegas. An hour passed after I sent my reply. Then my phone rang. Her name again. I let it ring once, twice, 3 times before answering. Her voice came through sharp with confusion. "What do you mean, divorce papers?" I leaned back in my chair and looked out the window. "I mean exactly what I said." Silence filled the line. Then she laughed softly like she thought it was a strange joke. "You're being dramatic." That word, dramatic, hung in the air between us. I realized she expected anger, a confrontation, maybe even a desperate attempt to pull her back into the marriage. Instead, I said quietly, the paperwork will arrive this week. Her voice shifted. Wait, you're serious? Yes. Another long pause followed. For the first time, I heard uncertainty in her tone. You're just ending it like that? I thought about the question carefully. It wasn't ending like that. It had ended slowly, piece by piece, in 100 unnoticed moments. But I didn't say any of that. I'm just acknowledging it, I said. She didn't reply. When the official documents arrived 2 days later, I signed them without ceremony. The legal process moved forward quietly, guided by rules and deadlines that had nothing to do with emotions. Authority replaced conversation. Decisions were no longer negotiated between us. They were documented, reviewed, finalized. Weeks later, I received a short message from her. Just one sentence. I didn't think you'd actually do it. I read it once and placed the phone back on the table. Outside, the evening light was fading across the street, and the city continued moving the way it always had. There was no victory in the moment, no sense of triumph, just a quiet understanding that sometimes dignity doesn't arrive through confrontation. Sometimes it arrives through silence and the willingness to stop pretending. A life is still intact when it quietly ended long ago.